We're here today to do something dramatic, and I must say the hall looks absolutely fantastic, to found a new democratic socialist party in Britain that can challenge power in our society. That's what's brought us together. So I want to say, first of all, a big thank you to Lucy for the introduction she's just given, and a big thank you also to Sam Gorst and Alan Gibbons, the other two independents in Liverpool, who've done such fantastic work to raise the banner for socialism in Liverpool. Well done, Lucy. Well done, Sam. Well done, Alan. And of course, to welcome you all to our founding conference here. But before I go any further, I just want to say this. A big thank you to all the volunteers that have done so much work today at this conference hall, in the arrangements running up to the conference, all the logistics that have had to be done, and all those all over the country that have organised impromptu and small events, big events, different sized events, and brought people together for real discussion about how we can form a party that fulfills the desires and needs of the majority of people to live in a fairer, more equal society. Thank you to all the volunteers and all the work that they put in. They've given hope, they've given energy, they've given inspiration to so much. It is, of course, a huge effort to put this kind of thing on, and I also want to say thank you to the staff here at the ACC, because they work very hard too, and they've made us very welcome here and been very, very helpful in everything that we do. Liverpool is a city that breathes solidarity in so many ways, and I've been forever grateful to so many people in Liverpool for the support they've given during good times and bad, and the way they've always stood up for social justice. They've always stood up against racism. They've always stood up against divisions in our society. I remember the marches around Liverpool against the arms trade fair and so much else. So it's great that our founding conference is here in Liverpool, because we can demonstrate our solidarity with each other and solidarity with our communities with a city that breathes solidarity. Thank you, Liverpool. Thank you, Merseyside. And it's why the rich and powerful in our society certainly don't want us to be expressing so much solidarity with each other and so many other campaigns. We have an amazing opportunity before us. Look at this hall, absolutely full. Look at the people around the country that want this party to succeed. Look at the hopes that so many people have. People suffering poverty, children growing up in overcrowded homes, people sleeping on the street, people bearing the brunt of racist attacks across the country, people fearful for the future. They want us to succeed, and it's up to us to develop a mass party and a force that does bring people in and give people that sense of hope. That is why we're here, and that's what we're determined to do. We live in a world of the most grotesque levels of inequality imaginable. Is it right that there are more food banks in Britain than there are branches of McDonald's? Is it right that people are sleeping rough outside shiny new apartment blocks, kept empty because they've been sold as investment opportunities? The insult, keeping flats empty to make money out of them while the homeless sleep on the pavement outside. That can't be right. And our natural world being destroyed as the profits of the fossil fuel industry absolutely soar. And remind ourselves that in the past 50 years, half of all of the world's wildlife has been destroyed by the voracious appetite of mining companies, fossil fuel industries, and so much else to destroy the natural world. Our movement is one of justice, equality, and environmental sustainability. That is absolutely at the centre of it. The climate crisis is driven by inequality, driven by the greed that impacts on the poorest. We're doing this because we cannot accept that it's normal in Britain for 30% of our children to live in poverty, while chief executive officers of the biggest businesses are taking home the biggest salaries they've ever had on top of the bonuses that they award themselves year on year. And we're doing this because we don't believe it's inevitable that water bills should keep on rising, while water companies alone pay out tens of billions to shareholders. I'll give you an example. The water industry was privatised under Margaret Thatcher just over 30 years ago. We were told it was going to be regulated. Really? And during that time, £72 billion has been taken out of the water industry and paid out in dividends and profits, often to distant shareholders in tax havens around the world. And at the same time, sewage pouring into our rivers and sea, chalk streams destroyed, and the quality of drinking water under threat the whole time. And then when I raised this, as my colleagues have in Parliament, about the concept of public ownership of water, I'm told by a Labour Secretary of State there is no answer to the water industry's problems that can't be solved by the private sector. There is one answer to the water industry's problems: public democratic ownership of it. And there are so many other industries where the same thing. And so the point of our party is to put together the plans for democratic public ownership, to campaign for them and raise that demand, so we don't have this triopoly of political thinking in Parliament where the two front benches and the Liberal Democrats fundamentally agree on so many things. And we're not going to stand by whilst human life is lost because of poverty and because of shortage of food and shortage of medicines for so many people, not just in this country, but around the world. Today is the International Day of Solidarity for the Palestinian people. Let us send a message now to the march that's taking place in London today. It's the 37th national march since October 23. 37 times people have been marching through the streets of London, giving that solidarity, giving that determination, and giving those demands. Let's express now here today in Liverpool our solidarity with the people of Palestine. Free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free Palestine, free Palestine, free, free Palestine. Thank you. We are haunted by the images of starving Palestinian children being gunned down by the Israeli Defense Force, children torn to pieces, mothers screaming in the street. It's not war, it's genocide that we've been witnessing live on our screens. And our government is complicit in this. Through the Independent Alliance group of MPs and other groups of MPs in Parliament, we've constantly raised the issue about British arms supplies to Israel and the supplying of 15% of the components of the F-35 jets and the overflying of Gaza on surveillance flights and the use of the Royal Air Force Base at Akrotiri. And I've said this and others have said it as well. If the International Court of Justice believes that genocide has been committed, if the International Criminal Court sends out arrest warrants for senior Israeli politicians, then we, as a country, by the supplying of weapons, fueling that, are also complicit in that. The long arm of international law might reach a bit further than some of those people imagined it would. So we're working with international groups like Progressive International that have set up the Hague Group to try and ensure there is a solid group within the UN demanding justice for the Palestinian people. I want our party to be part of Progressive International, part of the Hague Group, part of that international movement for Palestine. We will not rest until there is justice. It's the routine disregard for the humanity, dignity, and self-determination of people around the world that leads establishment politicians to enable war crimes and genocide. The same disregard for humanity allows those same politicians to blame their own failures on migrants and refugees. You've heard the language, you've heard the demonization of desperate people, of refugees. I've been to Calais quite a few times. I'm sure many of you have given support and demonstrated outside the asylum hotels. What has happened to our humanity in our society where it becomes routine to label people who have fled from war, from poverty, from environmental disaster, enemies, threats? Tomorrow, they'll be our neighbours. Tomorrow, they'll be our doctors. Tomorrow, they'll be our teachers. Tomorrow, they'll be our train drivers. Can I just appeal to everyone? Let's approach refugees and migrants as friends with a sense of humanity, not denigrate them and destroy them and attack them in the way that's going on. And when reform and the far right simply use them as a means of blaming the problems of society on people that didn't create them. Refugees didn't close hospitals. Refugees didn't underfund schools. Refugees didn't bring PFI into hospitals, didn't bring building schools for the future into education. They're the people that will actually fix the problems because they're the ones who come here to work and help and support us. And if we go down the road of reform, there wouldn't be too many people able to work in our hospital. Reform are no friend of the working class. Farage, a city banker, is no friend of the working class. Their capitalist model is no friend of any working class community. So we have to absolutely challenge them. But we also have to recognise we've got to challenge the government, the Labour government, that has, for example, this week announced, or last week announced plans to end permanent refugee status for people. They have fueled the whole hatred towards refugees. I say to all those people that thought they were going to get something better, think again. What you're seeing is an attack on human rights. What you're seeing is an attack on our civil liberties. We are not joining in that attack. We're on the other side of that. And if you want to defeat reform, you don't do it by copying what reform do. You don't do it by attacking jury trials, slipping away our civil rights or our right to protest. What we need is something radical, a socialist alternative, rather than the fake populism of reform or others. And it's up to us, our party, your party, to provide it. Over the past few months, like many of you, I've been at lots of regional assemblies and meetings of your party all over the country. It's been absolutely fascinating, listening to people coming together around a table discussing what they want from your party. Sometimes people who've never ever been involved in anything political in their lives before, but just feel the need to do something, feel the need to say something because they're fed up with the unity of the message on the mass media of all of the main political parties. So they come together. Others come together who spent a lifetime on campaigning, on causes, campaigning politically, and doing lots of things within their community, coming together and thinking about how they can do things differently. And it hasn't been an easy process over the last few months. I looked very hard in all the libraries I could find for a handbook on the establishment of a political party. There isn't one. There is no such book. Maybe we could write one, how to establish one. And learn from our problems, learn from our mistakes, learn from overreaching, learn from lots of things. Never be too high and mighty. You can't learn new lessons. That surely has to be the way we go forward, and we're made stronger as a result of it. We've got 50,000 people and more are in our party. It's about putting power in members' hands that's essential if we're going to build the society that we want. So our message has come through from the members that they want a democratic structure of the party to be in place as soon as possible. I agree. Back in July, we asked the Independent Alliance group of MPs to steward the process, not to run it, not to control it, to steward the process. And that was important to do it. We wanted to meet the demand for a new force in British politics that had gained strength from the movement on Palestine and so much else, and the political retreat away from Labour. And last night here in Liverpool, we had a number of events on. And Zara spoke at a great rally, and I very happily and proudly sent a message to that rally, and I was grateful that it was read out at that rally, of support and solidarity. I was at a poetry and music event at the Blackie, and Zara sent a message to that. As a party, we've got to come together and be united, because division and disunity will not serve the interests of the people that we want to represent. So that's the basis on which we've launched the party. Now then, where do we go from here? And this is very important. We need, obviously, to have elected positions in the party. We need, obviously, an elected executive, which must be up and running. That will happen straight after the conference, and that will be in place by, I guess, very early February, if not late January. But before then, we need something else as well. And I think what we need is a members' oversight committee to steward the setting up of branches all over the country, to steward the way the party goes forward, and show that this is a democratic party run by its members. That is the whole point behind it. I've had enough of top-down parties. I spent a lifetime in the Labour Party, mostly fighting Labour Party bureaucracy. I don't want to repeat that in your party. I don't want to repeat that experience. And that will also go in the handbook. So it will be up and running as quickly as possible, and we'll be there active in all the communities, on the campaigning, on housing, on jobs, and on housing, on jobs, and so much else. We'll be doing all of that and getting ready for what are very important council and Scottish and Welsh Parliament elections next year, where we're going to have a big say and a big voice. But that means going out and spreading the message and campaigning for it. And so we need to mobilise people to achieve all of that. The political statement that you've all been sent is an important part of it, and I'm very proud to be a member of a party that stands on the principles expressed in it. I'm not going to read it all because you've all got it, but I just want to emphasise a couple of points from it. Your party is democratic, member-led socialist party that stands for social justice, peace and international solidarity. Our goal is the transfer of wealth and power, now concentrated in the hands of the few, to the overwhelming majority in a democratic socialist society. And it goes on to express our opposition to all forms of prejudice, oppression and discrimination, and scapegoating of people by ruling elites that want to divide us. It rejects a capitalist order that is responsible for the grotesque levels of inequality in our society and abroad. And it's the same economic order, as you pointed out earlier, that is fueling the destruction of our planet. And lastly, the words are these: your party stands for freedom from poverty, exploitation and war. That seems to me a good basis on which we can launch ourselves from Liverpool. When we come together, we can achieve a great deal. When we come together to look at the issues that are faced by communities, mobilise people, excite people and enthuse people, we can come together and achieve a lot. Look at the issue, for example, that affects so many millions of people in this country, the housing crisis. Completely unaffordable private rented sector flats, a refusal by the government to bring in rent controls, and again, ministers telling me that they believe what we need is more private sector investment and involvement in the private rented sector because it brings good returns for them. Those good returns are £2,000 a month rent for people in my constituency living in often very small, very cramped flats. The same story in every big city all across the country. There is no solution to the housing crisis that does not involve mass building of council housing on secure rents with lifetime tenancies and protection of people's living standards. And the idea that everything would be done by market forces and arguing forever about how much of a particular building site goes to social renting, goes to affordable renting, goes to shared ownership, goes to private sale. Come on, let's look at the reality of the number of people in desperate housing need. Are their needs met by those kind of convenient formulas brought forward by the lobby power of the finance industry and the construction industry? We need something better and stronger, which is the building of council housing to solve the housing crisis in this country. And when the government tried to attack people with disabilities by taking away personal independence payments, they got a big kickback by a lot of people. But it's not over yet. They're still reviewing it, they're still looking at it, they're still cutting benefit levels, and they're still putting personal independence payments under threat. Our party must include all those people with disabilities who want to be part of the party, but also their voice must be heard. And that means instead of a ministerial-led inquiry and review on personal independence payments, how about our members with disability in receipt of PIP, forming their own inquiry and deciding what is to be the future, forming their own inquiry and coming forward with those proposals. And there's so much more we can look at, so much more in education where we reduce the levels of competition in education, the stress that's put on teachers and on students by excessive testing and the league tablitis that goes with it, and the horrendous debts that are placed on university students who come out of university with 50, 60, 70,000 pounds worth of debt and no immediate job prospects either. Surely as a society we can do better than that and value education for all from cradle to grave as a public good and a public responsibility. And do something to give real hope and real opportunity to young people within our society. Young people within our society who are going through stress. The mental health crisis is serious and it's with us. It affects all ages, but it's particularly horrendous for young people. So we need to be the answer to all of that. So we're building a party to stand for the interests of that majority of people that want to see real change. A social alliance of people in all communities coming together to bring about something different. A culture of unity and collaboration. Listen to each other, learn from each other, and be respectful to each other. That is how we bring people together, and that is how we make the most of this wonderful, unique opportunity we've got to found a socialist party of mass appeal in every part of the country, linking up with socialist parties across Europe and around the world, and being that voice which the other parties, some never had, some, like the Labour Party, have walked away from. We are that alternative. We are here in Liverpool with a huge responsibility on our shoulders to get this thing underway this weekend, to get the branches going, to get the campaigns going, and contest the elections in the future. This is our opportunity and our time. We are going to seize it with both hands, build that party, build that society, and campaign forevermore for real socialism and real social justice. Thank you very much.